Welcome to the Encore Effect, the podcast where music takes center stage in life's second act. Brought to you by Encore Creativity, America's largest choral organization for adults 55 and older. This inspiring series celebrates the transformative power of music, community, and creativity in the later years of life. Each episode will share moving personal stories from encore singers across the country and dive into fascinating conversations with experts in neuroscience, gerontology, and the arts. Discover how choral singing is boosting brain health, improving well-being, and lighting up the lives of thousands of older adults nationwide. From retirees finding their voice for the first time, to the science behind why doctors are prescribing music for the mind, the Encore Effect proves that creativity is endless. Join us and let the music move you.
Hello, and welcome back to the Encore Effect. I'm Joshua Vickery, Encore CEO, and your host for our conversation today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to talk to one of our fabulous singers and coordinators of one of our programs, Ann Johnson. Ann has been singing and dancing her entire life, starting in Oklahoma before earning a dance scholarship to study jazz choreography near Chicago. She joined Actors Equity at 21 and moved to Washington, D.C. in 1969, where she balanced motherhood with performing in community theater, cabarets, and special Smithsonian performances celebrating American composers. She also taught dance at the Capitol Hill Workshop. Life changed, and now a full-time career at 46. She joined the political satire group The Capitol Steps, performing nationwide for 20 years, including some very memorable moments like a show for the OJ jury, and she earned 2 Helen Hayes Award nominations for her work in the Falsettos productions at Studio Theater. After retiring from professional performing, Ann discovered Encore Creativity as the perfect way to keep her vocal cords active and continue her lifelong passion for music. Ann, we are so glad to have you on the podcast today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And I'm really glad we're getting to talk to you because, Ann, I feel like you're just like the epitome of an encore singer. You have so much energy and excitement. You love singing with our choirs. You are so welcoming to other singers. What do you find, that's what we find special about you. What do you find special about encore?
Oh, I could talk a lot about that. I think it is because it is open to everyone. When I quit singing professionally, I thought, what am I going to do now? And somebody told me about Encore, that you didn't have to audition. And because I wasn't a great sight reader, I thought, well, I'll join this group, improve my sight reading skills, and move on. Well, that was, I don't know what, 2018. And I just fell in love with the organization and with the people involved. And so I'm still here. And it's a joyful thing. I don't know anybody who doesn't leave rehearsal feeling better than when they came in.
Yeah, I love that. In life, there's things that come and go that might be our ups and downs in life. And music is one of these things that kind of weaves itself through all of the stories and chapters, of our entire life. And I know that when I get to sit in a rehearsal or I get to experience music, it just kind of transports me to a different place. And for just during that time, I get like a respite from everything else that's going on in life. Do you find that to be true? Like it's an escape.
It is an escape. And it's also a great focus. It's just, you can home in on what you're learning and the energy that's surrounding you. It is an escape. It absolutely is. And I guess that's why we all feel better when we leave.
Yeah. Well, and we talk a lot about encore, about the benefits of singing, right? For our brain, for our heart, for our bodies. But we also talk about this piece of it that is lifelong learning, right? And you mentioned that, like you came here to Encore to hone your sight singing skills. But what other things do you think you've learned from Encore besides getting better at sight singing? What have you taken away from, maybe a class or a trip or something that you look back and go, yeah, I'm still learning.
Well, singing solo is very different from singing in a chorus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I've been adjusting to, and I love the exactness of it. I mean, you're singing in a group, you have to start at the same time and cut off at the same time and say the same vowel for the same length of time. And I think it just made me more aware of blending in.
Mm-hmm.
And I just needed a reminder. I knew that when I was in high school, but I hadn't had much opportunity with that. So I would say that's one of the things I've really learned and appreciate.
Mm. And how has being a part of this musical community, or really the musical and artistic communities that you've been a part of your entire life, how has it changed your relationships, like with yourself and with other people?
Mm, I don't know if I've changed, but I can tell you that I have formed some of the dearest relationships of my life in this group. Um, if I can tell you a little bit more about that, when you start an encore, you go in and you introduce yourself to the person sitting next to you, and you become acquainted and you sing and then you leave.
Mm,
And it wasn't until I went to my first camp that, where you're actually sharing meals together and that sort of thing, that I felt more a part of a group. And then when the pandemic came,
mm,
um, that was a big game changer. So all of a sudden, thanks to Encore, we knew how to do Zoom.
mm,
And a group of my altos, 10 of us, got on Zoom to just talk about it. This pandemic and Encore, that was our connection. And we met on a Tuesday afternoon, and we've been meeting every Tuesday since.
mm,
Pretty soon you're talking about politics, or you're talking about um, just what's going on in your life and in your family's life. So all of a sudden, I have these dear friends who I could call on anytime, any place, anywhere. And I have to say that because of that, I'm grateful to the pandemic because I'm not sure
mm,
what would have happened.
mm, mm,
Otherwise, we would have been friendly, would have been nice. But I've come out of this with dear, dear friendships, and I'm so grateful.
mm. I love that, Anne. And I love that you got to give a shout out to your altos because I can see all their faces right now, and they're all lovely human beings singing in the DC area in Glen Echo. And we talk about at Encore, a lot about fighting social isolation, which is something as
Mm.
we age, it's so important for us to have that community and that those friendships and those relationships that not only build us up but check on us and provide that community space. And Encore does that in such a huge way, week in and week out. And I love that you mentioned, that in such a difficult period for all of us, that Encore was something that really helped, was a bright spot for you, and was something that really, helped you get through the pandemic. And singing in a choir really does build community, and it really does build relationships. So that was a time that Encore helped you, or music helped you in a difficult period. What would be a time that music helped you celebrate a really joyful time in your life?
This is off track, but I just came to mind experience I had in high school with the choral director. And you mentioned I grew up in middle America, small town, and every year we had Christmas Vespers in the convention hall.
Mm.
Big deal, right? So it was the high school chorus, the three junior high school choruses, and representatives from all the grade schools, and the whole town comes to hear us. And this high school choral director, she was probably 5 feet tall, but she was say so much with, her eyes and her eyebrows. Um, so we are starting the Hallelujah Chorus, the final number, the number that the chorus has been working so hard on. The orchestra begins, and all of a sudden she stops the orchestra and she looks up because there are people who are leaving during this thing. She gives them the eyebrow. She stares them down and she shames them into sitting down on the steps where they are. And in 60 seconds, she educated this whole town on the etiquette of the Hallelujah Chorus. You do not get up and leave. And I laugh at now, about it, but it was a big memory for the whole town.
She sounds incredible. And what a good teaching moment, to learn about, well, first of all, the etiquette of the Hollywood course, but also not to leave a performance early.
Yes, yes.
I never understand that when I go and see such a powerful theater piece or a moving symphony concert or a great choral work. And right when we get the opportunity to stand and applaud and show our appreciation for that, people are hurrying to get to the parking lot. Yeah,
Yes,
I
yes.
don't, those moments matter to show the appreciation of the work and the appreciation of the music. And of course, those that are performing on stage. What's another, you have such an incredible career, Anne, in the arts, with dance and singing and theater. When you look back over that just so many beautiful moments, is there another time that sticks out for you that's just a vivid memory of something that brought you so much joy, whether it was something you accomplished in music or a breakthrough with a student, or is there just something that resonates with you?
Oh, I'm just going to tell you the first thing that comes to my mind. Um, I'm like 10 years old, and my mother is your traditional mother of that time, running the PTA, doing the Bluebird troops. She did everything. And I remember one day she came home and said, I'm going to be in a show. It's a fundraiser for the Junior Welfare League, and they're hiring a director from New York. And again, I just realized this is a big convention hall experience again. Oh my goodness. Anyway, all I know is she was out at night rehearsing. My dad was home playing with us. And then the big night comes, and I'm sitting in the box seat of the convention hall and I'm reading through the program, and I see my mother's name listed as Red Hot Mama. And and when I tell you I never heard her sing, I'm telling you, I never heard her sing. She sang in the church choir. So all of a sudden the curtain opens and there's my mother sitting on a piano in a red satin dress with her auburn hair.
Mm.
And she sings A Good Man Is Hard to Find. And she knocked my socks off. I just couldn't believe that was my mother. And what I guess I'm leading to is that fast forward, I don't know how many years, she's come to visit me and I'm singing in a club. And I tell the audience this story and I sing that song to her. And it was, oh, God, I'm getting emotional. Woo!
Oh.
Uh, so I sang it, and then thanks to my accompanist, we added to it, brought it up to date, and added some comedy. But it was just a moment that I was hoping I was knocking her socks off.
I'm sure I know you did, Anne. And so at 10 years old, you had no idea your mom could sing, and then she
No,
just
and I never
surprised.
heard her sing after that. I
Wow.
think that's why, like later on, I played Mama Rose and Gypsy in Savannah, and she came to see me, and I just felt like what I was channeling her, and I think I was doing what she probably really wanted to do.
Wow. I
Never
could,
had the chance.
yeah. And I could totally see you being Mama Rose in Gypsy. Bet that was spectacular.
It is a great role. Of course, after you're finished with it, you think, "Oh, I think I could have done that a lot better."
We always feel that way, right? Well, I think that's an absolutely beautiful story about your mom and part of probably your inspiration as a performer. And this, there are people who come and go throughout our life that either encourage us on our journey and sometimes discourage us on our journey. I can't
Yes.
tell you how many times I've heard someone who's come to Encore in this kind of next chapter of life and has joined a choir and they haven't sung in so many years because someone told them they couldn't sing, or
Yes.
someone told them, they sing off key or whatever it is. Someone discouraged them and they stop singing, they stop performing. And I would just love to give you this opportunity. You already talked about your mom, you talked about this wonderful choir director. Is there anybody else along your journey who inspired you to be the performer that you are today?
I don't think I could have kept from being it. I don't think there was any. It's interesting. There was one point in my life where I could have gone to New York and pursued or go home and get married, which is what I did. And I remember my dad, who really wasn't big in parenting, said to me, "Don't do it unless you can't not do it." In other words, if you don't have that drive to be a performer, and I
Mm,
would say at that point, what was most important to me was family and friends and, singing and dancing whenever I got the chance. So I don't think there was any one person who inspired. I just think it was always in me. I started choreographing at 6 and I've been doing it ever since.
mm. So you don't think there could be another path for you, and that you stayed with it the entire your entire life. But if there was another path, if you could
Ooh.
just say, I would have never given up music, I would have never given up my journey, but if I would have had a choice, I could have also done this. What would that be, Anne?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I'll give you time to think. I would have been a veterinarian. I just
Oh, of
absolutely
course.
love animals and love dogs and I want to take care of them. That would have been a whole nother journey than a music conductor and a CEO of an arts organization. But if life would have been different, maybe I would have been a veterinarian.
Oh, that's perfect. Of course.
What about
I don't
you?
know. I think I'm just so interested in people and human behavior. I had several different majors in school, but psychology, I think I would like to have been a therapist. I like that one-on-one connection. And I just like the idea of you want people to feel better after they have spent time with you, however
Mm,
that is,
mm,
right? Uh, it could help in a million different ways. I just find it fascinating that you can walk down the street and smile at someone and say hello, and there are those who don't respond at all. And
mm.
there are those who smile back unexpectedly. And I think even that exchange, that simple exchange, makes everybody's day better.
And how many times as a performer, and even now in encore, singing in your ensemble and looking out at the audience, or even looking at your fellow singers, do you see a smile or
Oh,
a reflection or something happen emotionally with those that you're being able to affect with your music? That's happened so many times, I'm sure.
yeah. Well, first of all, there are times in singing, particularly in some of the chorale pieces, that are so emotional that I Yeah, I'm sort of holding back tears, but fortunately, the people on either side of me keep singing. And but also, as I look across, at my fellow singers, even when we're warming up, and I really love our warm-ups in the beginning, particularly with my conductor Joey, who's a very physical warmer-upper.
Mhm.
And I can look out and I see all these people. I mean, you see 70-year-old men undulating their pelvis and you got to smile. I mean, I just love that we all feel so free in that space. Nobody's looking. Well, I'm looking, but no, nobody's watching, but I see happiness. And I just grin from ear to ear.
Yeah, we talk about it Encore a lot as a part of our mission of just bringing joy into our lives. And that happens in every rehearsal. It happens in every performance. It happens in every class we take. What is your favorite warm up by Joey? Can you give the audience just a little sneak peek of what it is?
Well, let's see. It's just that almost everybody warms up by doing vocal exercises, right? And breathing. Oh my God, breathing crucial, by the way. It's
Yeah.
like, and I think that's partly what makes people physically feel better. But with Joey, you're not just, stretching the head and the neck, and you're using every part of your body to move because singing is physical. And the
Mhm.
more prepared you are for that, the better you're going to sing. I sing better when I've had more of a physical warm up.
Yeah, and you're right. Singing is not just your voice, it is your entire body. And that's why it's so good for us. So, Anne, for all the people out there listening who might be thinking about, I really love to sing. I've always wanted to be in a choir, or I haven't sung in so many years, and they're just a little bit nervous or they're hesitant about trying to get back into music in this stage of life, in their encore of life. What advice would you give them?
What have you got to lose? I mean, if you enjoy singing, give it a try. I mean, it's like at this point in your life, it's like life is short, right? Um, and if there's anything you've always wanted to do, now's the time to try it. And you will find a welcoming crowd and very supportive crowd. And you'll find that you may start singing. You'll be so tentative at first. Heck, I am too when I'm first learning something. You sing tentative, and then you get bolder and bolder. And it's just a wonderful progression. You just feel like you've really accomplished something.
Well, take it from Anne, a lifelong performer. Be bold. Check out an encore ensemble near you. Join a choir. Sing. Go see a musical. Just make sure the arts are in your life. It makes life so much better. And it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Always, Joshua, bravo.
Thank you so much for joining us, friends, this week on Encore Effect, and we'll see you next time.